As a beginner in the world of sim racing, I was looking for an inexpensive wheel to improve my skill in games like F1 2020, Dirt Rally, and Assetto Corsa. And even though I've heard on sites like Reddit that the Logitech wheels are not worth their money, when I saw that the Logitech G29 was only $250 on Amazon, I thought it was a good deal to be had. So in this video, we're going to be unboxing, setting up, and taking a first look at one of the most inexpensive wheels that you can buy from a reputable brand. Let's take a look. Let's start right away with what you get in the box. Since this is the G29 PlayStation compatible model, we get a nice PlayStation themed box with all of our parts inside. Flipping open the top reveals some regulatory information and a quick start guide, and then off to the side, we have our power brick to supply electricity to the wheel with its force feedback motor inside. Below that is an advertisement for Playseat, a manufacturer of racing seats and simulation cockpits. At last, we can finally pull out the wheel, which is separated from the pedals by this piece of protective cardboard. Finally, we can pull out the pedals, being mindful of the cable that is permanently attached to them. Taking a look at the pedals first, we can immediately see the brushed stainless steel pedal faces for the clutch, brake, and throttle. Since I did not buy the package that comes with a gear shifter, that clutch pedal won't see much use, but it's nice that it's included if I want to buy it in the future. The brake pedal is a non-linear pedal, which means that there is an extra piece of rubber and stiffer springs that give a different feel to the clutch or throttle. All the pedals are potentiometer based, which means they measure how far they've been moved instead of how much force is being applied to them. There is a textured heel grip that is made out of plastic rather than rubber, so it is decently slippery with socks on. On the underside of the pedals is a carpet catcher that is basically just a set of spikes to stop the pedals from sliding on carpeted surfaces. For hardwood or tile surfaces, there are also rubber feet to prevent the pedals from sliding on those surfaces too. Moving on to the wheel, immediately we can see the hand-stitched leather cover with a cool looking blue stripe at the top. It's also ever so slightly flat at the bottom, resembling the wheels that you would find in several performance cars today. The wheel spokes are made out of aluminum, which feels premium alongside the leather cover. As for the controls, since the G29 is designed to be used with a PS3, PS4, and PC, we can see the standard layout of PlayStation buttons, D-pad, and also various buttons around the wheel like L2 and L3. There is a selector wheel, which I will have to say does make me feel like I'm turning a knob on an F1 steering wheel. Just a little bit. There are also plus-minus buttons on the other side of the wheel to make it easy to change things like your fuel saturation in games like Gran Turismo Sport. The shifter paddles are made out of brushed stainless steel just like the pedal faces. As an added bonus over the G290, the G29 has rev lights on the top that help you know when it's time to shift in-game. The wheel also has built-in desk clamps that make it really simple to secure to your desk and remove when done racing. It comes with some booster attachments, so no matter if your desk is thick or thin, this wheel should be able to clamp onto it. On the underside of the wheel is where the pedal, shifter, and power gets plugged in. It has these cable managing roots so the cables don't get pinched when the wheel gets clamped down. There are also threads to attach it to any sort of sim racing rig that exists out there if you are not using the desk clamps. Setting up this wheel is pretty simple, which is a good thing since most people will be clamping this to their desk when they want to use it and storing it away when they don't. As I mentioned before, there is ample space to wrap the power and pedal cables that will connect here. Then the only cable that connects to your PC or PlayStation is a single USB connection. In terms of software, you have the choice of using the Logitech gaming software or the much newer Logitech G Hub. Taking a closer look at the G Hub software, it's actually really refined and a joy to use. There are three main functions of the G Hub software: changing the button assignments, steering adjustment, and pedal adjustment. You can remap almost every button on this wheel to a variety of options. The most basic option is correlating a button to a keyboard key press, but you can also remap to a list of pre-made Windows shortcuts as well as some functions for integrated apps such as Discord. You can even get into the nitty-gritty by creating macros and changing system controls all from your wheel. Safe to say there is more than enough customizability when it comes to the controls on this wheel. Moving on to the steering settings, this is where you can change the operating range of the wheel, which is basically setting where the maximum and minimum steering is on your wheel. The shorter the range, the quicker you will hit your minimum and maximum and vice versa. Sensitivity will change how sensitive the wheel is to movements, and finally the centering spring strength will change how strong the force will be the further you turn away from 0 degrees. There's also a virtual wheel showing the range in which it will operate. In the pedal settings, there is a sensitivity slider for the pedal, brake, and clutch pedals, as well as a toggle for combined pedal controls. There is also a graphic to show how much you are depressing each pedal to finely tune your settings. Coming from an Xbox controller, this is without a doubt a big upgrade. Even if this is a budget wheel, you can be more precise with the steering, brake, and throttle input than you ever could be with a controller. More important than all of that though is the dual motor force feedback system. Simply put, the force feedback lets you feel how the car is reacting into corners, which is just almost impossible on a controller. The steering can go light or heavier when you are getting various amounts of grip, and that can help you control the car better in certain parts of the track. It also gives you an insight into how the car is rotating into a corner. I promise the first time you catch a little bit of oversteer with this wheel, you are going to feel like Lewis Hamilton. Now this force feedback system is better than having no force feedback at all, but since this is a budget wheel, they did have to cut some corners. Unlike something like a higher end Fanatec wheel, the G29 does not have a direct force feedback system. Instead, it uses a series of gears to give you a modest 2 to 2.5 Newton meters of torque. The downside to this gearing system is sometimes you can feel it skip gears on the inside. It can also be quite loud, and I find that when coming out of a corner, the wheel does not have as much as ability to snap back to the center as a normal steering wheel might. This makes it difficult to drift in games like Forza 4 Horizon before you really understand what the wheel is doing. While we're talking about the wheel, let's talk about the paddle shifters for a second. The stainless steel feels really nice and premium, but I would actually say the shift feels a little mushy. If you hit the pedal too quickly, you might not even shift at all because there's a little bit of dead space where the paddle moves but doesn't register anything. However, these paddles aren't bad at all, and I say given the price of this wheel, it's hard to criticize the paddle shifters. Lastly, I would like to give you an audio sample of the wheel so you can get a feel of how loud it is. Now, I thought my wheel was actually broken because the force feedback was so loud, but after doing some research, it seems that that's totally normal. That's not a deal breaker for me, but it might be for you, so that's why I'm including this section. So that's about it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and leave a comment of what you guys want to see next. And that's about it for this video. We will see you guys next week.